Hello everyone. Today I'll talk about 80-20 rule, also called Pareto principles. So Pareto principle signifies that the relation between input and output is not equal. So 80% of the result will come from the 20% of the action, and that is true. The Pareto principle was developed by Italian economist Wilfredo Federico Damaso Pareto in 1896. This principle helps to understand the cause behind the problem and helps in segregating the problem. So it's a very good tool. If you understand it, it's going to help you in identifying those challenges and work on that and create the next item, next action from that cause and then work on it to make the improvement. So if you see the example, it says, so if you spend 20% of the time or effort, it yields to 80% of the outcome. And vice versa, if you spend 80% of the time spent, you might get 20% of the outcome. And that's what it happens if you observe your daily routine for your life. So whatever that you do during the day, just 20% which is giving you the 80% of the outcome. So Pareto observation. So this theory evolved. So when he was actually observing it, and what he was observing with the population and wealth, right? And he noticed in Italy that 80% of the Italy's land was owned by 20% of the population. He then carried out the survey across the globe and different other countries, and he was surprised to see that the distribution is applied and it's same actually. So 80% of the land or 80% of the world wealth is owned by 20% of the population in this world. And this is where he's got his observation and tabulated in the format. So if you see the 5 row, it means 20% distribution and 5 row, right? So 20%, 20%, and 20%. The first 20% is contributing around 82% of the wealth, right? Or the income. And second 20% is contributing around 11.75. Third, fourth, fifth contributes to almost 5 or 6%. So if we see, this is how it works actually almost in all the field. So if you see this graph, it says effort you put in, right? So if you see the x-axis, it says effort you put in from 0 to 100%, and the result you get on the y-axis, right? You see 0 to 10% and 20%, you're seeing that the result you get is almost 80%. And rest 20% you get, you spend 80% of your effort and you get 20%. So this is very important. So 20% is very important in our life, right? So focus on that 20% to get 80% success. And this is also one of the Pareto's observation, which says that 80% of the population owns 20% of the wealth, right? And 20% of the population owns 80% of the wealth, which is very important. So it applies in almost all the area that we do, that we work. And this is what if you see the overall population, so 20% is contributing 80% of the wealth, and rest 80% is contributing just 20% of the wealth in this world. The rule of 80-20 says 20% effort that you put, you get 80% the result, and that results is just the consequences of your 20% of the effort that you put. It might be 80% result could be a positive or could be negative. And that 20% that you spend, that is very important, that how you're spending it and what you're doing it, in which direction you're doing it. And there are a lot of examples which talks about the 80-20 rule. It says 20% of the product accounts for almost 80% of the sales, right? Right. And if you just look any of the product, right, from any for any companies or portfolio, just first 20% of the product is contributing that sales for the company. Similarly, for in different area like criminal, so 20% of the criminal is accounting for 80% of the value in the crime, value of the crime. So whatever crime that is happening, right, just 20% of the criminal that is contributing to 80% of the value of the crime in this world. If you observe YouTuber, right, so 20% of the YouTuber is getting 80% of the viewership, and rest 80% is just contributing to 20%. And this is on almost in all the area. The 20% of the population owns 80% of the wealth, which I've showed in my earlier slide. 20% of the income earner pay then 80% of the income tax. And if you see the facts, data sheet or news, you'll see that 20% of the income earner are paying 80% of the income tax. 20% of the employee create more than 80% of the output, right? So that's why if you see the bell curve which is applied, that's why I said 20 rule, 20-80 rule. That first 20 will go get performance, and the rest other gets into a different, which is like average performer, right? So 20% of the employees is contributing to the growth of the organization. 20 of the product, 20% of the product gives more than 80% of your profit. 20% of the action gives more than 80% of your value addition. 20% of the computer bugs causes more than 80% of the problem or defect. 20% of the customer generates more than 80% of all complaints. If you see the complaint and if you see the base customer base is 20% of those customers generating the 80% of the, if you have 100 complaints, so if you just focus on it, it is coming from the 20% of the customer, right? 80% of what you achieve in your job or in business comes from the 80% of the time that you spend, right? And this is very important line. You can also apply 80-20 principles in your life. Now, here are some ways you can incorporate in the principle in your life. You spend 20% of your time with people that brings 80% of your happiness. To spend your quality time with those who make you happy, right? And you see the example in your wardrobe, right? At your home. So your wardrobe consists of 20% of stylish clothes that are worn 80% of the time. So you wear what you love, right? You might be having maybe hundreds of clothes, right? But if you just observe it carefully, you're just picking that 20% of, or maybe 20 clothes from your wardrobe. I mean, during your whole day or week or month, and you're wearing that actually. So how to apply 80-20 rule in your work? So make a list of the 10 things you spend the time most actually, and circle the two that truly drives your result and do more of those. So just list them down, whatever activities or action item that you do during the day or what is important, and then just prioritize them from 1 to 10 and take the first two, which is very important to make the impact. And that gives you the top 20 gives you the 80% of the output, right? Third is look at the others. So go through the remaining 8 and then eliminate them if not required, right? And then do it ruthlessly actually. And or otherwise you can automate or outsource the others so that the work can be done, because that also contributes 20%. And press the pause on the rest, which is not important. And repeat the step 1, 2, 3 almost every time when you want to achieve 80% of the success from the 20% of the effort or action that you do. So that books are very good books on this 80-20 principle. The 80-20 principle is written by Richard Koch. So if you want to understand in detail the secret to achieve more with less, so it's a very good book for you. And one book which was originally, the principle which was developed by Pareto. So the 80-20 principle, that is in Hindi. It is available in English also. And it's a life-changing book. You can read it. It's very, I'm going to give you the complete detail. And that's all from my side for today. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.